Hello all, I'm Sai and in today's video I'm going to talk about one of my all-time favorite authors and she's also my most favorite Indian author. Amish Tripathi comes close but he does not stand equal to Preeti Shenoy for me. As I've just said and you've known from the thumbnail and the title of the video, I'm going to talk about Preeti Shenoy's books in this video. And before we get into the books, I'll just talk about why I like her books so that if you're someone who has not read any of her books, you can get to know about them and pick them up for yourselves. I'm not going to spoil any of these stories, but I'm just going to try and intrigue you to pick them up. My experience with reading Preeti Shenoy's literature started in 2020 when the pandemic was at its peak, and there was this Friday night when I was not able to sleep because my brain was all fogged up, just like it was for everyone out there in the world. Just in order to kill time and fall asleep, I started reading the short story called The Nameless Relationship on Prime Reading, and by the end of the story, my reading taste had developed a lot and I got to know what I like when it comes to literature as such. Though my first experience with Preeti Shenoy's writing was back in 2020, I did not start reading her books until 2023. In a span of under 2 years, I've read all the 16 published books by the author and I can't wait for more. So without any further ado, let's get into the video right away. So Preeti Shenoy is one of the best-selling authors of the country and she is rightfully so. She has a lot of readers all across the country and all of her books have been bestsellers so far. They appeal to the mass audience. At the same time, they are really well written. These are books which are selling in our country without that much hype, to be very honest. And the thing which I like about Preeti Shenoy's books is that all of her stories are very Indian, very rooted in our culture, extremely modern, and no matter what time period the story is happening in, the characters whom we see there can be understood, relatable, and be felt by each and every person across time, if you ask me. Another important thing about Preeti Shenoy's books is that each and every one of them are very simple and easy to read. This doesn't mean that the books are basic in any way. Her writing is super simple. You can just glide through the books. Once you start reading them, you'll not be able to put them down at all because the language is very easy. You don't feel like you're struggling your way through the story even though it is good. Her writing makes it so simple that the reading does not feel like a chore or a task that you're doing. It just becomes one with you as you're reading the story. While keeping that in mind, her writing is definitely not basic because keeping the writing style simple and keeping the content of the book with so much layers is very difficult, and she has done it in each and every one of her books. No matter what book of Preeti Shenoy you pick up and read, you can see people and you can see characters from different parts of life, different facets of life, different age ranges, different backgrounds, different ethnicities coming together, and they don't feel forced in any way. They are so natural, and the problems that she puts forth inside the book for the characters are also very natural, normal problems that people are actually facing in the everyday life that most of us are not even aware of. Some of the things that Preeti Shenoy's books always address are gender equality, sexism, classism, mental health issues, domestic abuse, parenting, love, romance, the different spectrum in which relationships exist, both platonic as well as romantic, friendships and in specific female friendships, sex, and a lot more. And I want to stress this a lot because it's not like the other authors don't deal with these topics in their books, but the level in which Preeti Shenoy handles them is completely different. She writes them in a completely different league. I don't think any author can match her in current publishing at least. Just think about it. The woman has been writing about mental health issues ever since 2010. It's not until 2020 that people across the world have become aware about mental health, including myself. But Preeti Shenoy has been writing about such issues and illnesses ever since 2010, from her first bestseller, which is Life is What You Make It. Starting from that book to the latest one, which was published in November 2024, which is The Homecoming, all of these books have some kind of mental health representation done in a really beautiful way. She doesn't stigmatize them. She does not fear to address them as they are, and she makes us see the characters experiencing them in their rawest form. And I personally think that she is one of those authors who can write relationships in a completely natural and grave way they are. Each and every relationship that we have in life has its pros and cons. We ourselves have seen so many stories in which there are abusive relationships, but people are not able to give the other person up in the relationship just because of the fact that they love them. There is so much to experience and even learn from these books, and I think many more people need to experience these things by reading her books. All of her books also always go forward and address some kind of societal stigma that we have towards different issues that are faced by different people across the world. She shows them happening to our Indian people in our Indian society, but the same kind of issues exist elsewhere in the world too. The way in which she portrays them and shows them to us unfolding just makes us understand that this is just stupidity at times that is followed in the name of culture. She doesn't say them as such, but the way in which she presents them to us makes us understand understand that really, really well. She covers people from different age ranges too, starting from teens to really, really old people who are like in their 70s and 80s, and brings out the emotions felt by each and every one of those characters in the most pristine form possible. I'm always astonished by the way in which she's able to tap into the emotions of people from different age ranges without amplifying them and making them dramatic, at the same time not underplaying them. And one thing which I want to tell you guys is, if you want to read hopeful, warm, loving, positive stories, you have to go forward and read her full-length novels. And if you are someone who likes dark, twisted, painful tales, her short stories are some things which you cannot miss. I've tried both, and for me, the hopeful, warm, positive sides of her books work out a lot well compared to her short stories. It doesn't mean that I don't like her short stories. I like them too, but I prefer her novels compared to the short stories. She writes both non-fiction as well as fiction, but my most favorite is the fiction compared to the non-fiction. I hope I convinced you to go forward and pick up Preeti Shenoy's books. If not, please hang on, because I'm going to talk about all the 16 books that she has written and published so far and give you a short synopsis of each and every one of them. So whether you are interested or not, you'll get to know about those books and choose whether to read them for yourself or not. Let's get into the books now. I'm going to try and talk about the books in the order that they were published, but I'll not be keeping the series so, because when it comes to the sequels inside the series, they were released years apart. So I'll be talking about the books inside the series together along with the first publication date of the series or first publication year of the series. So the first book that we are going to see is Love a Little Stronger. This is kind of like a collection of short stories, but it is non-fiction though, because the author has written her own life experiences like short stories inside this collection. It reads like a short story collection, but it is not, because it's non-fiction. Obviously, the author has gone forward and changed the names of certain people in order to keep their privacy in here. But this is not the title under which the book was published first. Initially, it was published in 2007 as a collection of stories called 34 Bubblegums and Candies. After that, a few more stories were added on, and this edition which I'm having right now was published in 2019. I prefer this cover as well as this edition to the older one though. I remember I finished reading this one on my commute to and from work in a single day, and the whole day when I was working, I was waiting to get back to this book. It's very warm, comforting, hopeful, and just fills your heart with joy. If you want to get a taste of Preeti Shenoy's writing in the positive, hopeful side, I'd suggest you to start with this one. Next, we have the series which I think put her on the map, and it is Life is What You Make It, and its sequel, Wake Up, Life is Calling. These two books were published 8 years apart, but they deal with the story of the same character. Here we follow our main character, Ankita, who's a very intelligent student, and after she graduates from high school and joins college, Ankita gets to discover that she has a mental illness and no one else is aware about the fact that she has it. How she gets diagnosed, treated, and how her life changes from then on is what the author shows here. If you're someone who likes the movies from the 80s and 90s, you should definitely go forward and check out both of these books because they happened during that time period. And the story also reflects as such. The best part about the series, if you ask me, is the representation and description of the mental illness that Ankita is dealing with during the years in which we see her story unfolding inside the two books. It gets quite dark and gruesome at times, and the mental illness which we see here is bipolar disorder. Ankita is bipolar, and how it changes her life is what we see here, and the kinds of relationships that she develops with the people who know that she has the condition is also really, really nice to read. At times it's nice, and at times it's very bad. Not badly written, but the things that happen inside the book are bad. If you want a hopeful story, explore something which has not been explored that well in our Indian media, you have to try this duology. Next, we have an adult contemporary romance, and it is The Secret Wishlist. In this book, we follow our main character, Deeksha, who's in her early 30s, and she was married off in a very young age to this man who doesn't care much about her. And the reason why she's married off at such a younger age is because she was attracted to this guy when she was in school. Some things happened because of which her family basically forced her into marrying him. She's been just living her life the way it happened to her until a point where it changes. She also has a list of things that she wants to do in life, which is her secret wish list. We get to see Deeksha exploring her own life, finding love for herself, and understand that she has to cut ties with the people who are not supportive of her in life and see her story unfolding. It has an extramarital affair going inside, but the way in which the author shows it is really beautiful. This is the kind of grayness inside the relationships that the author explores, and the reasoning behind them is also very genuine and honest. Next, we have the longest title of all the Preeti Shenoy books, if I'm not wrong, and it is Tea for Two and a Piece of Cake. I always mess up saying the title of this book because it is quite long. So in this book, we follow our main character, Nisha, and Nisha is a single parented child. She has just grown up with her father bringing her up, and once she's become an adult in her early 20s, she falls in love with the man and she gets married to him and has 2 children. After they have 2 children, the husband goes on and cheats on her. What all happens in Nisha's life after that and how she finds love again with a person who's quite younger than her is what we see inside the story. It shows both the good side as well as the bad sides of a relationship, and how a person who makes a world can also break their world, and despite them breaking it, how the same person can go forward and rebuild their life for themselves. It is sweet, and it happens in different parts inside our country. If you like a romance that is happening with characters who are basically in their late 20s and early 30s, this is definitely something which will be delightful. Next, we have The One You Cannot Have, and of all the Preeti Shenoy books that I've read, which are all, this I can say is my least favorite. Despite that, it's a 4-star book, okay? It's not that the book is badly written, it's just a story which I did not resonate with in any way, and it did not have the same kind of flavor that all of her other books have. This is basically about 4 people, 2 men and 2 women, and some things that are just messed up in their lives because of which couples get separated and get married to this other person or somehow like that. There is also this unnecessary plotline which goes on in between the story, which does not add anything to it at all. At large, I'm trying to be as big as possible so that I don't spoil it in any way to any of you. I'll just read the blurb from the back cover because I don't think I'll be able to articulate the story properly without spoiling it at least. Anjali knows who she wants. She wants Aman. Aman too knows who he wants. He wants Shruti. Shruti and Aman were once inseparable. Theirs was a love that would last forever, and then out of the blue, Shruti left Aman. A devastated Aman moved abroad in the hope of forgetting Shruti and to heal. Shruti married Risham. Now Aman is back in India and looking for a fresh start. But he is still haunted by the memories of his love. Can he ever break free from it? His head tells him to move on to find love with Anjali, but his heart won't listen. No matter what he does, Shruti's shadow looms large. Can there be a happily ever after for any of them? A straight from the heart modern day romance of unrequited love, of complicated relationships, and about moving on when you realize that there will always be the one you cannot have. That's basically it. I think the story could have been better if it had been a bit more elaborate and, if we got a bit more pages. Still a really good story. It just didn't resonate with me though. If it interests you, definitely go for it and write. Next we have It Happens for a Reason. In this story, we follow our main character, Vipasha. You can see the thread here, right? Almost all the main characters in all of these books are women, and seeing the stories narrated by them, even though they are stories which we've seen in multiple kinds of media over the years, is very, very fresh here because we get a completely different perspective of the world, which we've not seen explored as properly. So here we follow our main character, Vipasha, who got pregnant when she was 18, and since the guy didn't want to support her back then, she has the baby by herself and she brings him up. Vipasha finds her way in the world and she makes her own living with 2 really unusual careers. The first career that she has is a dog boarding business in which she takes care of dogs along with her son in a facility that she owns, and the second profession that she has is that she's a gym instructor. This is because Vipasha was a model before she had her child, and after that she wanted to take care of him. At the same time, she wanted to take a different career path. What all happens in Vipasha's life along with her son and so many other such things are explored here. This is why I like Preeti Shenoy's books so much, because she doesn't just always go with the normal kind of careers that we see people taking in our country. Not many people are gym instructors, and definitely not many people have dog boarding businesses and dog boarding facilities. The intricacies of it, the fun in the profession, and the spark it gives to the soul is all always reflected inside the characters as we read their stories. This is just a small example of how vast the cast of characters inside her stories are. Next we have a non-fiction, and it is Why We Love the Way We Do. So this is basically a book about the reasoning behind the different ways in which we go forward and express our love towards people, both platonic and romantic if I'm not wrong, and it is such a fun read. It got republished in 2024, I think, and it got a new cover. That cover is not good, okay? Just trust me, this cover is just beautiful. Just see how gorgeous it is. I got it as a used copy from Bookshop like 2 to 3 years back. I don't know if it is available anymore at all. But if possible, it needs to be republished with this cover because it's just beautiful. The author talks about the different kinds of feelings that we have when it comes to romance and love as such, and how it has evolved and changed with time. It is really nice to read. It's not something out of the world or anything, but it is something which will be very soothing and calming to read if you ask me. It will also give you a better understanding of why you feel the things that you feel while you're in love or while you think you're in love. I definitely want to go back and reread all of these books. It's just a crime that I have not annotated 15 of the 16 Preeti Shenoy books that I've read so far. So I want to go back, reread them and annotate them heavily, and I know that this will have a lot of tabs while I reread it. I listened to the audiobook of this one, so I didn't have the physical copy back then. It's also available for free in the Audible Plus catalog. I think many of our books are available in the Audible Plus catalog. So if money is a constraint for you, just go forward, get an Audible membership. It just costs 200 rupees per month. And without buying the books as audiobooks, you can just stream to them. Trust me, once you start listening, you'll not be able to stop listening to / reading her books. Next, we have one of my total favorites of the author, and it is It's All in the Planets. Here we follow our 2 main characters, Aniket and Vidhi. Aniket is 27 and he's an IT professional working in Bangalore. And he is in love with this girl named Trish, who's a model if I'm not wrong. And the other main character whom we follow here is Nidhi. She's 34 years old and she's currently engaged to a man. Nidhi has a pottery studio in Bangalore and she takes pottery classes to people. See the different professions again, and they have something to do with art or just making people's lives better. Both of them work in Bangalore, but Their hometown is Chennai. So once they are coming back home from Bangalore to Chennai, they meet on the train and a friendship just starts between them. Aniket is kind of overweight in the beginning of the story, and their friendship starts in a way that Nidhi goes forward and says that she can help him lose weight in order to impress his girlfriend Trish. From then on, they just develop a beautiful, beautiful friendship. And after a point, we ourselves start to wish for their friendship to become love. How it becomes love, why it becomes love, and how long it takes for them to understand it is all shown here to us. This might sound like a very basic plot when I say it out loud, but trust me, once you read the book, this is nothing straightforward, nothing bland. It has so many emotions, it has so much representation. It shows us how marriage can work in different ways for different people, how it is also necessary to know our own worth when it comes to any kind of relationship, and the fact that society making age as a standard for marriage is completely a scam. Since the title of the book is also It's All in the Planets, each and every chapter inside the book starts with a horoscope reading for the character whom the chapter actually focuses on. It's so much fun. It is very, very sweet. The way in which both of these characters interact with each other is just amazing. You'll fall in love with both of them, and you'll also fall in love with the story in which they're falling in love with each other. I know I'm hyping it, but trust me, it's worth it. Next, we have the best book by the author so far, in my personal opinion. This is my most favorite. No other book written by Preeti Shenoy has been equal to this one. They are all amazing, okay? But nothing is even close to this. Just trust me, and it is 100 Little Flames. In this story, we followed our two main characters, a 26-year-old guy named Ayan and his grandfather who's over 80 years old named Gopal Shankar. In the beginning of the story, we see that Ayan loses his job in Pune because of something that happens, and during the same time parallelly in Kerala, his grandfather Gopal Shankar falls off and hurts himself. Ayan cannot go back to Bahrain where his family is living in right now because of some situations, and he's supposed to go to Kerala and stay with his grandfather for some time. He takes care of Gopal Shankar and gets to know a lot more about his family. This story shows love happening between people in different generations. We see Gopal Shankar's love/friendship blooming in the past, and we see Ayan's relationship becoming better in the present. And we also get to experience Ayan getting to know more about his family, his parents, and how he can just make his life better, or just, snap a cycle that has been going on in the family. It's extremely well written. The writing of the author here is just gorgeous, okay? You'll be able to feel that you are in Kerala while you're reading the story, because the entire of the story is narrated to Ayan when he's in Kerala with his grandfather. Again, I listened to this as an audiobook for the first time. I've not read it yet. I want to read it, especially from this copy. Again, I'm sorry to say, guys, I don't think this edition of the book is available anymore. I got this as a used copy. Again, the current editions of the book are also beautiful, but this just captures the story's vibe really, really well. You see the lamps here, right? It's extremely brilliant. I've not seen any book written better than this one from our Indian authors so far. People who are 18 and above in any age range can go forward and read this, and I can assure you that everyone will fall in love with the story in the same way to the exact amount. I've been trying to make my mother read the story because I know she'll love it. I'll just update you guys once she reads it. Next, we have my second favorite book by the author, and it is The Rule Breakers. Inside this book, we follow our main character Veda, and Veda is currently in her college, and during the second year of her college, what happens is, out of nowhere, she is married off and sent to a different city. She's allowed to complete her graduation because she's such a bright and amazing student, and after she gets to her husband's town and starts living with him, she understands that he's a very indifferent man. He's not unkind, but he's not kind too. It doesn't look like he's interested in living a life with her at all, and her mother-in-law proves to be a very, very bad, evil person basically. Will Veda be able to finish her education, graduate, make her family understand back in her hometown what is happening here to her? Will she be able to develop the relationship that she has with her husband, which basically just exists, and so much more is explored here? I've just said like a topmost layer of the story, but beneath that we have so many subplots, we have so many side plots, and each and every one of them has something to do with Veda. Personally, I can say that of all the Preeti Shenoy books that I've read so far, Veda is the one character whom I related to the most. She's the eldest daughter. I'm not the eldest child in my home, okay? I'm the youngest. But even with that, I was able to relate with her character so much because she is a very rule-abiding person, and so am I. And when she goes forward and breaks rules, it just made me understand that, there are multiple instances in my life where I felt like I've broken rules, and each and every time I've done it, life's just gotten better. It is such an amazing book. It shows us how marriages should work. It shows us how families should be. It shows us how much friendship is valuable. It also has a very, very, very beautiful sibling relationship going on. It is very atmospheric. I'm totally in love with the story and all the characters here. Again, just go forward and read it, okay? I cannot hype it more. Until now, all the books that I've talked about are about people who are married, who are adults, like, adults in real life, or people in their late 20s, early 30s, 80s, basically people of an older age range. But the series I'm going to talk about next has characters who are Gen Z kids, okay? These kids are born after 95, so they are basically like, my age or like a couple of years younger than me. And the way in which she writes her stories is also just as equally good as the kinds of stories that she's written for people who are like 35, 40, 80 and all. And it is When Love Came Calling, and All the Love You Deserve. Trust me, guys, I have not read a romance series which is sweeter than this one. All the other romance writers in India, all the other romance authors in India, please learn from Preeti Shenoy. These books have zero spice. Zero spice. I'm not saying that spicy books are bad, okay? But you can make romance so much better, so much more beautiful and enjoyable without spice in it. I'm not against spicy books, but when romance books have nothing but spice in them, that's when I totally start hating the genre. And it's books like these which just save romance as a genre for me. So here in this series, we follow our two main characters, Pooja and Arush. They both go to this camp in Wayanad. Pooja is from Kerala and Arush is from the UK. Arush comes to Wayanad as part of a project that he has for his art degree, and Pooja is basically forced by her mother to go and attend the camp because she feels quite aimless. I'm 200% sure that both Arush as well as Pooja will be relatable to everyone of their age reading the story. When I read the story, I was able to understand how well she's written both of those characters. They don't feel like characters written by a woman in her 50s. They feel like people written by Gen Zers. It's very, very amazing. I was totally astonished of how well she has written both of these books, especially this one. I didn't have high expectations and all, and I did not know that the characters will be so young inside the series. Basically, Pooja is like 19 or 20 and Arush is 21, 22. That's it. And the first book, this one was published in 2021. So it basically means that both of them were born in 99 or 2000, which is quite a young age. Yeah, I'm 26. I'm going to turn 27 pretty soon. So these people are younger than. And I was just astonished to the extent to which it was extremely relatable for me, how realistic it was, how super sweet the story was, and it was very natural, okay? It did not feel forced. Just go forward, right, okay? We have the monsoon season just around the corner. Do yourself a favor, go forward, read both of these books. After you finish reading them and after you start loving them, come back to this video, thank me. Go to your social media, shout out and thank Preeti Shenoy for having written these books. I know that I sound like a broken record, continuously hyping all of her books, but trust me, I cannot hype them enough. Next, we have a non-fiction book that was published by the author during the pandemic, and it is The Magic Mindset. This book is basically about how a positive mindset can completely change your life. It's not going to be easy. It's not something that you just change overnight. It's going to take months or even years to change your attitude, to change your mindset and start living life on your own terms. And the author has written this from her experience of grieving her father's death, and it's just amazing. Okay, it's very easy to read, super beginner friendly. It's a very tiny book also. It will not take much time for you to read. If you read like a couple of chapters per day, you'll be able to finish reading the book in just a week, and you will have everything in mind also. Also, towards the end of the book, the author gives us a 14-day challenge called the Magic Mindset Challenge, if I'm not wrong. And we can go forward and do that too. I read this also in 2023. It was amazing. If you want to start with non-fiction and Preeti Shenoy's books, I suggest you to go with this one. Finally, we have the latest series by the author when I'm filming this video. And it is A Place Called Home and The Homecoming. The Homecoming was published just in the November of 2024. I also have a postcard of the author because I pre-ordered the book. I know that I'm going to pre-order all of her other books from now on. So, in this series, we follow our main character Alka, and we see Alka's story from when she was a child. So Alka has a single parent who's her mother, and her mother is basically a domestic helper for this woman named Mrs. Shetty in Delhi. She doesn't get paid that much and their life is basically miserable, both Alka's as well as her mother's. But Alka is a very, very intelligent child. She has this opportunity to go to the same school as that of her employer, and because of that, the education that Alka gets is really, really good. Her personal life is miserable and she does not have a happy life at all. Things happen in Alka's life because of which she goes to Bangalore for higher studies, and that's where her life completely changes. What all happens in Alka's like that and the kind of decisions that she takes are explored by the author here, and I personally think these two were the most challenging of all the Preeti Shenoy books that I've read so far, because some things that the character does here are things which I'm completely against, no matter what reasoning is given. At the same time, one part of my brain is able to understand that that's the only thing that she could do. It's quite twisted and messed up in one way, and it's quite honest and courageous in another way. But I cannot deny the fact that Alka's story is something which is brilliant, and it's something which hasn't been said so far by any other authors, personally, as far as I know. The approach that Preeti Shenoy took towards writing Alka's story was also really, really good. She doesn't go forward and try to justify anything that Alka does. At the same time, she doesn't try to defend her story with us, the readers. She just lets it unfold, and we can just draw our own conclusions. We can just draw no decisions or judgments per se. And if you're a coffee lover, trust me, this series is for you. Okay, I'm a coffee lover and I love these books as much as I love coffee, and that means so much. I think even the dedication of the first book is for coffee lovers, if I'm not wrong. I'll just have a look at it. Yeah, that's it. Can you guys see? So if you're a coffee lover, that's reason enough to go forward and read the series. Just do it. So yes, guys, that's all I had to talk about Preeti Shenoy's books, and I hope I have nudged you to go forward and start reading her books if you've not already. I know that many of you guys who are my regular viewers are just as much big fans of Preeti Shenoy as I am. Do go forward and let me know your comments about her books in the comments below so that we can discuss further. And if I've convinced you to pick up any book in specific, please tell me that also down in the comments so that I can wait for your reaction of the books once you finish reading them. And also tag Preeti Shenoy and mention this video on my story. So if you have anything nice to tell to the author, please do also drop that down in the comments so that if she by chance goes forward and views the video on YouTube, she can also go through the comments and see our love towards her books. And if you did enjoy watching today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.